Hello toy fans! We're going to do some more crafting today, and I'm going to show you how to make pillows and sheets for the bed we made last week. We're also going to make some cute little character pillows that can be used on a bed or as throw pillows on a couch. Last week, a couple of viewers indicated that they would like a little more guidance on how to sew by hand, so I'm going to include a short section in this video on what works for me when sewing. The materials you will need for this project are some sort of stuffing to fill the pillows. I'm using polyester fiber, a ruler or T-square, a piece of paper, which I forgot to take a picture of, scissors, pencil, marking pencil for making lines on the fabric, use your choice of colors and styles, thread that is a similar color to your fabric, pins, and a needle. Needles come in different sizes. Got big man hands? Not a problem. Just get a bigger needle. And a needle threader makes threading the needles so much easier. Now let's start with a quick, completely non-expert guide on how to sew by hand. If you already feel comfortable sewing, you could skip ahead to the 4-minute mark. How do I know that? I'm psychic. Let's get the hard part over with, and that's threading the needle. You can try to slide that thread through the needle's eye if you enjoy punishing yourself, or with the help of a simple tool, you could save yourself the frustration. This is a needle threader, and you just jam the pointy wire end of it right through the needle's eye. I bet you never knew that sewing was this violent. Drop your thread through the wire of the needle threader. Hold both ends of the thread and slowly slide the needle threader back through the needle's eye. Release one end of the thread and pull it off the needle threader. Now your needle is ready. Normally, you'd want to use a thread that's a similar color to your fabric, but I'm going to use red now so that you can actually see what I'm doing. Some people like to tie a knot in the end of their thread before they start sewing, but that really never works for me because the knot ends up getting pulled through the fabric. Instead, I'm going to show you another method to secure the thread. Start by sliding your needle from the bottom of the fabric to the top and pull the thread most of the way through. Hold on to the tail end of the thread with your left hand. Push your needle back through the fabric, and this makes the first stitch on the top of the fabric. Push the needle back up the fabric again. Now we're ready to secure the thread by sliding the needle underneath that first stitch we made on top of the fabric. It doesn't matter which direction you come from. As you slowly pull your thread underneath the stitch, you'll notice a loop of thread is forming and closing. Slide the needle through that loop and gently pull the thread until it is tight. Now our thread is secure, and you could trim the tail end of that thread if it's getting in your way. Now we just continue the pattern of pushing the needle up through the fabric and back down. Ideally, you want your stitches to be a similar size to each other, but you can worry about that after you get the basics down. Besides, we're not sewing a dress for the ball, we're making pillows, so who cares? Needle goes up, needle goes down, needle goes up, needle goes down.
Bed goes up, bed goes down, bed goes up, bed goes down.
Once you reach the point that you want to stop, we're going to repeat the step that we started with by sliding the needle underneath a previous stitch and then through the loop. So that's what works for me. Let's hope that somebody who actually knows what they're doing never watches this video, or I am going to get eviscerated in the comments. Now we're ready to start making a regular pillow for the bed. The first step is to make a pattern on your paper for the pillow by making a rectangle that is 6.8 centimeters tall and 6.3 centimeters long. Cut out your pattern and trace around it on the back side of your fabric. If your fabric has a design on it, make sure that the good side is facing down. Cut out your fabric. Fold the rectangle in half lengthwise along the middle of the side that is 6.8 centimeters long. We're folding it in half so that we have one less side to sew. You could also cut apart your rectangle into 2 pieces if you're really getting into this and want to sew all the sides. Start by sewing one of the shorter sides and continue down through the longer side. Do not sew that last short side shut because we need to turn the pillow inside out. If you have trouble turning the pillowcase, grab an unsharpened pencil or a paintbrush handle to help you. Use some stuffing to fill the pillow. That pencil or paintbrush handle may come in handy again. Don't fill the stuffing all the way to the top though. You could see I left some space at the top of mine. Fold in the cut edge of the side of the pillow and secure it with a pin. We're folding in that trimmed edge so that it is going to be on the inside of the pillow, because otherwise that side is going to fray and make little strings. Sew the opening shut. Now let's make a character throw pillow. I picked out some fabric that has a stylized version of Venom. If your character is symmetrical, meaning the left and right sides are the same, you could cut out two of your character so that your pillow is double-sided. Venom here has his tongue hanging out on one side, so he's not symmetrical. Instead, I'm going to fold my fabric so that Venom is resting on a blank area on the back side of the fabric. I pin the fabric so that it doesn't slide around and then cut around the edge of Venom's design. I'm leaving some space around the edges so that I'll have room to sew though. It's very important that before you start sewing, you unpin your fabric, flip both pieces around so that the good sides are facing each other. We do this because the pillow is going to be flipped inside out after we sew it. I recommend starting to sew at the base of the character's foot and sew up towards their head and stop when you reach their other foot. Do not sew it all the way around or you can't flip the fabric inside out. If your pillow has some sharp angles or curves, you may need to trim a little bit closer to your stitches. As you can see here, there's some space between Venom's arm and Venom's foot that I need to trim to separate those. Otherwise, it's not going to work when I flip it inside out because, you know, physics. Flip your fabric inside out, stuff it, and just like the regular pillow, fold the unsewn edge so that it is inside the pillow and pin it closed. Sew the bottom edge to finish the pillow. Next, we need to discuss how to make sheets and bedding for your bed. You have a couple of options. If you purchase knit material like the material I recommended for making capes, you can just cut out a rectangle that is 27 centimeters wide and 23 centimeters long. You don't have to sew knit material because it doesn't fray. However, if you want to use comic or character printed material like this Spider-Man bedspread, you're going to need to sew it. Almost all of the printed fabric designs you find at the store is going to fray. Just look at the strings on this comic print already. To use this kind of material, you'll need to cut two rectangles of fabric that are 28 centimeters wide and 24 centimeters long. Now those dimensions are just a bit bigger than the measurements I gave you previously for the knit material because we're going to need some room to sew. Then just treat the bedspread like a giant unstuffed pillow and place the two good sides facing each other, sew along the edge, but leave a little opening so you could turn the whole thing inside out. Then my bedspread was a little poofy after I turned it inside out, so I decided to sew again along the edge of the fabric, but you can skip that step if you want. So now you can complete your basic bed. In the future, we'll move on to more deluxe techniques to make a character-specific headboard and footboard. And before we go, I have some photos to share from viewers utilizing some of my previous projects. This first set is by Richie. Richie was inspired by my lightning guide, and he made some really awesome looking electric effects for his Emperor. Looks great, Richie, and I love how you made them so that your figure can hold them in his hands. Next, I have some photos by Ro Kartawi Chromo from the Netherlands. Ro saw my chair guide and decided to put his own spin on making furniture for his Avengers. The coffee table with the Avengers logo is a really nice touch. It looks like a relaxing place to hang out after a long day of smashing, thwipping, and whatever sound effect Iron Man makes. Repulsoring? Let's go with that. And I love Spider-Man's sign with my little dragon logo. It's such a cute touch, and it makes me smile whenever I see it. If you've tried any of my projects, I'd love to see your photos too. Just send me a link to your photos or send them to me on a social networking site. Just make sure to say that I have your permission to share your photos and what name you'd like me to use to give you credit for your work. And that's all the toy fun for today. Feel free to check out my other videos for more crafts and reviews, and you could always subscribe if you'd like to stay updated. Thanks for watching!